Welcome back. This time around, I'm going to talk about the new Omakase streaming and gift box service from Viewster. Um, Viewster are a relative newcomer on the anime streaming scene. They've been around a while as just a general video on demand service, but in about the past year or so, suddenly they had a larger amount of anime content available on their service, and they also started, doing simulcasting. So, especially in the case of some of the shows that either Crunchyroll didn't get the UK rights for or didn't get rights for anywhere, which meant that obviously these shows weren't available on Crunchyroll. Up until then, the UK's main alternatives were Animax, not very good. Wakanim, a French company who was dabbling in the UK waters and seems to have decided not to go forward with it. And Daisuke, which is a Japanese-based company that's actually involved with anime production, and they have a website and one or two streaming apps as well. But all of those were very, very limited compared to Crunchyroll. So suddenly, Viewster were picking up an awful lot of momentum when it came to streaming. The only drawback is that they were a completely free service. Free, ad supported, no HD content. You can't pay to get rid of the adverts. So basically, it was you watch ads or you watch an out, which was a little bit rubbish. Since earlier this year, they have been heavily hinting that they had a premium video service upcoming. With the ability to watch in HD, you can pay to get rid of the ads, and one or two extra service improvements would be coming along as well. Then everything went quiet for a bit, and around early summertime, they did a big push to announce that they were also launching an American arm, and at that point they would be having a service called Omakase, which was a combination of a gift box subscription, similar to things like Loot Crate, and premium streaming. The biggest question, therefore, that's been going on for the past several weeks and months is what's going on with the streaming, and can we get it without the gift box? Today, they finally announced formally their service and their sign up. The streaming video is still coming, so there's no details on that yet. But they have finally answered the question to do with whether you can get streaming only. Checking the new FAQ on their website says the following. Under, can I get ad-free HD streaming without the box? Omakase is designed to be both a physical and digital experience. In our minds, the two go together, so we don't offer each component individually. We are committed to introducing exciting new features and exclusives to increase the value of your subscription. Bugger. The value's in the content of, the video content. That's it, for some of us anyway. Especially because they have UK exclusive content that we can't watch anywhere else. And the only way to watch it in HD and the only way to pay to get rid of adverts is to also pay extra to get a box of crap full of stuff that you might not want, might not be to do with the show that you're interested in, or you might not actually have the physical space for. I don't. I've been clearing this summer, I've been clearing as much space as I can, because I had a lot of crap, just cluttering up the flat. I've spent a lot of time clearing that down. I've got a whole load of stuff in storage that I need to sort through and figure out what I want to keep long term and what I want to get rid of. My shelf space is limited. I don't have any space to put more shelves. You want to know why I'm doing the the fancy backdrop, well, the bedsheet backdrop in recent episodes. It's because, yeah, my lounge is small and cluttered, and there are, basically you can see the shelves on the door to the kitchen if I don't have that there. And you can see that my shelves are a bit of a cluttered mess because I try to get as much stuff as I can there. And that's just the stuff that I actually want to own. I don't have the space for stuff that I'm not interested in. Extra comics, toys, tat, no interest. And they've dropped the ball on this, because there's a lot of people in the UK, at least there's a lot of voices in a lot of the usual places I loiter around that are basically not impressed. The thing is, they're not just people like me who are most definitely non-collectors who just like the content and don't like physical stuff. See my previous one about anime packaging. There are some people who love their fancy packaging who still don't think Omakase is value for money. And that's before you even factor in the fact that the UK cost, it'd be the equivalent of $29 per, I can't remember if it's per month or per 2 months, but the thing is, either way, that doesn't include VAT, sales tax, and it doesn't include shipping and potential customs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're in the UK or probably even Canada, basically if you're not in the United States, you're screwed. Time to interrupt myself. Typically, whilst I was doing the edit and test render phase of this particular vlog, Viewster did actually clarify a little bit on their UK charges. Basically, in addition to their $29 per month, the shipping charge for the UK is $19, bringing it to a total of $48, approximately 29-30 quid. But that already includes, as well as the shipping, that covers VAT, it covers any potential customs charges and stuff like that. So everything will be properly covered. So although it's still pricey, you ain't gonna get stung by unexpected customs charges. And also apparently they are currently still charging it just in dollars because it's actually a way of keeping the cost down. If they tried to have a price in British pounds, it would be higher. Although again, for some people they've been saying that they've got a problem where they'll get hit by a surcharge if they use their card to buy something that's not in pounds. But yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit of that clarification, because at the very least it means that this isn't quite the "oh god, I'm going to be stung for customs" scare that it could possibly have been. It's watch it with ads, pay for crap you don't want, go without, or download dodgy fan subs. I can imagine a lot of people taking the latter two options and just not bothering paying for content. Either watching the content and not paying, or just not bothering watching that content. Because suddenly they've added an extra barrier to entry. Desire to pay for and store stuff that you don't have the space for. Dick move. Seriously. I just don't get. They know that people have been asking about just the HD streaming. They know that there are people who are interested in that. For whatever reason, they've decided that they can't do business that way. But they still have exclusive access to stuff that will therefore be, if you want to get rid of ads and watch it in better quality, gated behind this service that will not be to everybody's taste. There's a reason I've not subscribed to Loot Crate. There's a reason that I don't do stuff like Lego minifigs or anything that's blind bagged. I don't like paying for stuff when I don't know what I'm getting. And all as from the one about anime packaging, I was saying, all I really care about is what's on the discs. All I care about really is the content. I want to watch content in as good quality as possible, preferably legally, but most definitely conveniently. And I shouldn't have to buy a box of crap just to get it. So I'm just currently enjoying watching all the initial complaints, but I'm also interested to see what happens as people's opinions calm down a little bit. Over the next week or two, I'm just going to keep an eye out and see how people react, because the announcement's only just gone live in the past hour or so. So a lot of reactions are very, very new and very, very few. There'll be especially reactions for those of us, say, here in the UK, because now it's about 3:15 in the afternoon. Over in America, it's anywhere between about 10 in the morning or about 7 in the morning or thereabouts. I can never quite get my time zones right, but we've been awake for hours and waiting for this news. Other people are just getting the news and probably also just getting up for school, work, or staying in bed and not checking the internet. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people think. But there's already some people who are definitely saying, no, just give us the damn content. I'll tell you one thing, I'm not subscribing to this. It's very, very clearly not a service I'm interested in, because it's trying to be something I do not care about in the slightest, with an added bonus of something that I really want, that I can't get without the other crap. Bollocks to that. Well, until next time, see ya.